New details in a shooting on a busy road near Sanford. It left one person dead, multiple others hurt. Shots were fired earlier this morning near Reinhardt Road and County Road 46A, just steps away from an apartment complex there. News 6's Treasure Roberts is live in Seminole County tonight. Treasure, we're learning more about the person who died.
Yeah, we just got those details a few hours ago. The Seminole County Sheriff's Office says 31-year-old Princess Tolliver from Tallahassee was killed in the early morning shooting here at this intersection. They also say multiple people were injured, but won't say who and exactly how many.
On January 16th, 2023, a black Mercedes Sprinter van carrying 6 women left a concert venue in Sanford, Florida. The women, including 31-year-old Princess Tolliver, a civilian employee of the Florida State University Police Department, were headed home after attending a rap show at the barn. It was a typical late-night drive through the quiet streets of Seminole County. But at approximately 2:15 a.m., as the van approached the intersection of Reinhardt Road and County Road 46A, an SUV pulled up alongside them. Without warning, multiple shooters opened fire. More than 40 rounds tore through the van within seconds. Tolliver was killed. The other 5 women survived but sustained injuries. None of them were armed. None of them returned fire. This was not a robbery. This was not a case of mistaken identity. Authorities determined this was a target hit, an execution attempt linked to gang activity and rivalries in Florida's underground scene. The intended target, a rapper known as Jack Boy, reportedly involved in a feud with fellow rapper Kodak Black. Princess Tolliver was caught in the crossfire of a violent gang dispute she had no part in. Over the following months, more than a dozen suspects, many affiliated with the Sanford base on Top Forever gang, were arrested. They faced charges ranging from first-degree murder to racketeering and conspiracy. One suspect remains at large. The shooting sparked a wave of investigations connecting gang members, music industry rivalries, and organized criminal activity stretching across multiple Florida counties. What began as a night out ended with gunfire, death, and a multi-agency law enforcement operation. This is a case of Princess Tolliver, a story of how a rap feud turned deadly, how a street gang used violence for reputation, and how an innocent woman became the face of a crime she never saw coming. Welcome to True Crime Unmasked. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. The show where we uncover the disturbing crimes tearing communities apart and the haunting truths hidden behind closed doors. These are real stories, real individuals, real consequences. Stay tuned for more captivating stories. Now, let's begin. Princess Tolliver was a 31-year-old woman living in Tallahassee, Florida. At the time of her death, she worked as a civilian employee for the Florida State University Police Department. Her role with the University Police was non-sworn, meaning she was not an officer, but served in civilian support capacity. Tolliver had no known criminal record or affiliations with any gangs, criminal groups, or violent organizations. By accounts from family, friends, and co-workers, Tolliver was known for her outgoing nature. She was often described as vibrant and energetic, with a personality that naturally drew people to her. Friends regarded her as a life of the party, someone who could lift spirits in any room she entered. Within her professional environment, she was well respected and appreciated by colleagues. Her relationships extended across personal and professional circles, reflecting a consistent reputation as a positive and reliable individual. On the night of January 16th, 2023, a group of 6 women attended a rap concert at the Barn, a local event venue in Sanford, Florida. The headlining performer was Jack Boy, a rapper known in the industry not only for his music, but also for his ongoing personal and professional feuds with other artists, most notably Kodak Black. The concert drew a large crowd from surrounding communities, including Princess Tolliver, a 31-year-old civilian employee of the Florida State University Police Department, who attended with 5 female friends. The event itself proceeded without incident. Jack Boy performed, and the venue maintained its typical high-energy atmosphere associated with rap shows. Tolliver and her friends joined many others in enjoying the music and the night out. They were among numerous attendees who left the venue together after the performance, making their way toward their vehicle, a black Sprinter van. There were no indications of conflict involving Tolliver or her group during the concert. After leaving the barn, the women entered their van and started their return trip. The post-concert environment inside the van was lighthearted. Tolliver and her friends were talking, laughing, and recapping the night's events. They drove through Sanford streets in the early hours, unaware of any immediate threat. The vehicle's atmosphere reflected typical post-event excitement, with no signs that they were being followed or targeted. According to later survivor accounts, the group felt relaxed, and their conversations were uninterrupted until moments before the attack. At approximately 2:15 a.m., while traveling near the intersection of Reinhardt Road and County Road 46A, an SUV approached the side of their van. Without warning, the occupant of the SUV opened fire. Witnesses and investigators later confirmed that the shooters discharged more than 40 rounds into the vehicle within seconds. The attack was swift and brutal. Bullets ripped through the van's frame, glass shattered, and chaos erupted inside. The occupant of the van had no time to react beyond instinctive attempts to protect themselves. Survivors later recalled ducking for cover, screaming, and trying to avoid the hail of bullets. Some attempted to reach for the floor of the vehicle, while others were frozen in shock. Within moments, the shooting ended as abruptly as it began. The SUV sped away from the scene, leaving behind a wrecked vehicle full of wounded passengers. Among the 6 women in the van, Princess Tolliver suffered fatal gunshot wounds. Emergency responders later confirmed her death at the scene. The other 5 women sustained various injuries but survived the attack. The immediate scene inside the van was one of devastation. Broken glass, blood, and the remnants of the gunfire's violent aftermath. Emergency calls began flooding the local dispatch center as bystanders and the surviving victims reported the shooting. Multiple 911 calls provided conflicting details, but all confirmed a mass shooting incident involving a van and an unknown assailant vehicle. The urgency of the reports prompted a rapid response from the Sanford Police Department and emergency medical services. Officers arriving on the scene encountered a chaotic and emotionally charged situation. The van was riddled with bullet holes, and the survivors were in varying states of distress and injury. Police immediately secured the scene to protect evidence and ensure public safety. The surrounding roads were closed off, and crime scene investigators began the meticulous process of collecting ballistic evidence. Shell casings, bullet fragments, and other forensic materials were gathered for later analysis. Investigators also documented the positions of the victims and the damage to the van to reconstruct the sequence of events. Emergency medical personnel provided immediate treatment to the surviving victims before transporting them to nearby hospitals. The extent of their injuries varied, but all 5 women required medical attention. Meanwhile, Princess Tolliver was pronounced dead, and her body was processed according to standard homicide protocols. The investigation established early on that the van carrying Princess Tolliver and 5 other women was not the intended target of the gunfire. Law enforcement linked the attack to a known feud within the rap industry involving Pierre DeLince, professionally known as Jack Boy. Jack Boy, a rising rapper from Florida, had a publicly documented history of rivalry with fellow rapper Bill Cajon Capri, better known as Kodak Black. The feud between Jack Boy and Kodak Black had been ongoing for years, involving diss tracks, social media exchanges, and rumors of violent confrontations. These public disputes often escalated beyond the realm of music, spilling into street-level conflicts that attracted the attention of law enforcement. Sources within the rap community and investigative reports suggested that both artists had connections to individuals involved in gang activity, intensifying the risk of real-world violence. While Jack Boy himself denied any direct gang involvement, his association with certain figures linked him indirectly to ongoing street beefs in Florida. These affiliations, whether intentional or circumstantial, made him a high-profile target for rivals seeking to make a name for themselves in the underground world of gang disputes. As the investigation deepened, authorities confirmed that Princess Tolliver had no ties to any gang, criminal activity, or the rap industry feud. Tolliver, a civilian employee with the Florida State University Police Department, was visiting Sanford with friends to attend a concert performance. She was simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. Eyewitness accounts and forensic evidence supported the conclusion that Tolliver became an unintended victim. The targeted individuals were believed to be associated with Jack Boy, who had performed earlier that night. However, none of the intended targets were struck during the attack, highlighting the reckless disregard for human life demonstrated by the shooters. The investigation identified the On Top Forever OTF gang, a local Sanford-based criminal group, as the organization behind the shooting. Unlike the Chicago-based ODF affiliated with rapper Lil Durk, the Sanford faction operated independently, focusing on local street control, drug trafficking, and violent crimes. According to law enforcement reports, the Sanford OTF gang sought to build its reputation through acts of violence that would establish them as a feared group within the Florida criminal landscape. Targeting Jack Boy was believed to be a strategic move to gain recognition among rival gangs and street networks. Planning for the attack was traced to key OTF members who allegedly conspired to execute the shooting during the post-concert window when they expected Jack Boy or his associates to be vulnerable. Surveillance footage, wiretaps, and informant testimonies contributed to mapping out the logistics of the planned ambush. Due to the violent nature of the crime and its potential connections to organized gang activity, the FBI and regional gang task forces became actively involved in the investigation. The federal agencies collaborated with local law enforcement to track suspects, collect intelligence, and dismantle the network associated with the OTF gang. The involvement of federal authorities allowed the application of RICO, racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations, statutes, providing broader investigative powers to target not just individuals, but the entire organization responsible for orchestrating the attack. By early 2024, a coordinated effort between local, state, and federal agencies resulted in the arrest of over 13 individuals connected to the shooting. The charges included first-degree murder, attempted murder, and racketeering. The suspects were apprehended in multiple operations across Florida, with some arrests occurring during high-risk raids. Law enforcement seized weapons, electronic devices, and documents linking the suspects to crime. Among those arrested were individuals believed to have served as shooters, getaway drivers, and planners of the attack. Authorities identified several high-profile suspects within the OTF gang hierarchy. These individuals held roles ranging from logistical coordinators to direct participants in the shooting. Their affiliations with known gang members provided further evidence of the organized nature of the crime. Some suspects had prior convictions related to gang violence, drug trafficking, and weapons offenses. The identification of these key figures reinforced the prosecution's strategy of portraying the attack as part of a broader criminal enterprise rather than an isolated incident. Despite the successful apprehension of most suspects, one key individual remained at large: 25-year-old Trayvon Vasco Law. Law was named as a significant figure in the planning and execution of the attack. Investigators issued multiple warrants for his arrest, labeling him a fugitive. Law's escape prompted a manhunt involving both local authorities and federal marshals. As of the latest reports, he remains wanted in connection with the murder of Princess Tolliver and faces multiple charges upon capture. In March 2025, a Seminole County grand jury handed down indictments against 12 of the arrested individuals. The indictments included charges of first-degree premeditated murder, attempted murder, and violations under the RICO Act. The application of RICO charges allowed prosecutors to present the case as a pattern of criminal behavior conducted by an organized group. This legal strategy increased the potential penalties for those convicted and strengthened the prosecution's case against the entire network involved in the shooting. The grand jury's decision marked a significant step toward bringing those responsible for Princess Tolliver's death to justice. The indictments underscored the premeditated nature of the attack and the calculated decisions made by the suspects in pursuit of criminal notoriety. The rap scene in South Florida, particularly in areas like Broward and Palm Beach counties, have been marked by fierce competition that often extends beyond music. Two prominent figures in this rivalry are Jack Boy and Kodak Black. Both artists originated from Pompano Beach and were once affiliated. Over time, personal differences evolved into public disputes. Diss tracks, online taunts, and accusations fueled their feud, turning what began as lyrical competition into a personal vendetta. As the tension escalated, the lines between the music industry and street life blurred. Kodak Black, associated with Sniper Gang, and Jack Boy, formerly linked to the same group, found themselves in opposing camps. Their conflict was amplified by social media, where insults and threats circulated among followers. What unfolded next reflected a pattern seen before in hip-hop history, where words and songs translated into real-world violence. Sanford, though not a central hub for rap, became a battlefield due to its proximity and local gang presence. The shooting that claimed Princess Tolliver's life was reportedly connected to Jack Boy's appearance at a Sanford venue called The Barn. Investigators later determined that members of the Sanford-based gang, On Top Forever, sought to attack Jack Boy for the sake of gaining notoriety within gang and music circles. The rivalry between Jack Boy and Kodak Black became a catalyst for violence involving individuals seeking personal recognition or gang validation. Local gangs in Florida have increasingly used the rap industry's visibility as a platform to assert dominance. By associating with high-profile artists, either through alliances or opposition, gang members leverage the artist's fame to elevate their street reputation. In this case, OTF allegedly targeted Jack Boy during his public appearance, believing that an attack on a known figure would boost their credibility. The exploitation of music industry clout by gangs operates in multiple ways. First, gangs attach themselves to personas of rap artists to expand influence beyond their neighborhoods. Second, they view violent acts against known figures as a means to make a statement, both within the gang world and on social platforms. This creates a dangerous cycle where aspiring criminals or gang affiliates attempt high-risk actions, believing the notoriety will earn them status. This culture erodes any meaningful separation between entertainment and actual criminal behavior. Rap fame becomes intertwined with gang reputation, leading to incidents where violent crimes are directly linked to music rivalries. The shooting of the van carrying Princess Tolliver and her friends is a direct result of this blurred line. While Jack Boy was reportedly the intended target, the attack indiscriminately endangered and ultimately claimed the life of a civilian. Princess Tolliver's death left a void in her family and community. Her father, Edward Tolliver, spoke publicly following the arrests of several suspects. In his statement, he expressed a sentiment shared by many families of victims in similar situations. Jail's too good a place for them. His reaction underscored the depth of anger and frustration caused by losing a loved one to senseless violence. The Tolliver family has called for justice that goes beyond mere arrests. They have demanded accountability for all involved, directly or indirectly, in the chain of events leading to the murder. For them, justice means not only the incarceration of perpetrators, but also systemic changes to prevent such tragedies. In the aftermath of the shooting, community members in both Tallahassee and Sanford organized memorials for Princess Tolliver. Vigils brought together friends, family, co-workers, and local residents. These events serve not only as moments of remembrance, but also as platforms to highlight the ongoing problem of gun violence tied to gang activity. During these gatherings, emotional testimony from friends and family painted a portrait of Princess as a joyful and caring individual. Her senseless death galvanized community members to speak out against the culture of violence that claimed her life. The vigils symbolized the community's collective grief and its demand for change. Survivors of the shooting described the terrifying moments when gunfire erupted. Friends who were inside the van with Tolliver recounted the shock and fear that overcame them. One survivor recalled, "I thought I was going to die," capturing the raw terror experienced by those caught in crossfire. These personal accounts detailed the confusion and helplessness that followed the sudden onslaught of bullets. Survivors spoke of diving for cover, hearing screams, and the immediate realization that their friend had been fatally struck. Their testimonies highlighted the indiscriminate nature of gang-related violence and its devastating impact on innocent lives. The broader community responded with outrage. Public discourse shifted quickly to the larger issues of gang violence and the need for stronger legislative measures. Many call for tougher gang laws and stricter enforcement against criminal organizations that exploit music industry connections. Social media campaigns emerged, demanding justice for Princess Tolliver. Hashtags and posts flooded platforms like Twitter and Facebook, amplifying the story beyond local news. The campaigns focus on raising awareness about how innocent lives are often caught in the deadly intersection of music, gangs, and violence. Community leaders and activists also joined the conversation, urging policymakers to address gang influence on youth and the glamorization of street violence in popular culture. Public forums were held to discuss preventive measures, including community engagement programs and anti-gang initiatives.